really gotta not laugh, okay?
We haven't even started. Okay. This is episode 2 of GSD Nation's Raising Lions podcast. These are my 2 lion cubs right here, Will and Max. Thank you. Oh gosh, we haven't even got into the meat of this yet. Okay, this is episode 2, so we're excited to get second podcast going, and we're going to be having guests real soon, so we'll be lining that up. We're excited to do that. Last week we talked about some of our dream guests. Well, we can't quite line those up yet, but maybe someday. Meanwhile, we're official. We've arrived. We've got swag, right, guys? Huh?
Sure, I guess.
GSD Nation shirts. I mean, huh?
Like it.
Shake it,
Nice.
shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it.
Not bad, right?
Shake
Yeah,
it.
and then we also have hats in the mail, which are coming now.
That's right. They're going to be sweet. Super sweet.
The mail.
With the G logo, baby. All right. Let's get right into this episode. So we've got a couple of things that we're going to cover. We are going to cover, should we bring back the T-Rex?
No.
That's one thing we're going to cover. The other thing we're going to cover is some new commercials that came out over the weekend featuring a certain high-profile football player. Then we are also going to discuss Waymo. We've seen a lot of Waymo vehicles here in Phoenix, and we're going to discuss the pros and cons of self-driving vehicles, autonomous vehicles. And then finally, we'll wrap up with a section that we may or may not put in here around Russell Brand and what's been happening to him in the news lately. Okay. Are you ready to get started, boys?
Yeah.
And
Tyrannosaurus Rex, king of the tyrant lizards. It's 6 meters tall, 12 meters long, and it weighs upward of 7 tons. You can hide from it. You might even be able to outrun it. But do you really want to do this every day?
That would be embarrassing.
What would it be like to live with T-Rex? Would we keep them in zoos?
All right, boys. So,
Wow.
what do you think?
No.
Want to live with a T-Rex?
no.
No, not really.
Why not?
They could eat me alive.
Well,
They would eat me for dinner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
You mean breakfast, dinner, and lunch?
I mean, they could, but they're probably not hunting for snacks like you, Max. You're like a little...
He's like a little twig.
A little tiny, like a...
You're like a twig. You're like a meter taller than me.
Okay, so let's talk about... There's been some news articles out lately about reviving extinct
T-Rex.
species, and T-Rex being one of them. There are scientists that believe that through the extraction of DNA and using stem cells that they can bring back extinct species, including the T-Rex, over the next 20, 30, 40 years, perhaps. So obviously there's some science that will have to advance to make this happen, but the trend is that they could develop the means to do it. So main question is, what good could come out of that? What do you guys think?
If we tame them, they could kill the robbers. Like eat them.
Like
Like-
home defense.
Yeah, we could have a new type of police department called the T-Rex department.
Okay. I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. So if we had them as home defense, like pets, Max, is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Max would like a pet that eats 25 pounds of chicken a day.
Meat a day.
Okay. Interesting. And then you're saying a police force.
Yep.
All right. Well, maybe we could use Elon's Neuralink and train them so that they could be like highly skilled, empathetic beings, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they'd be literally gods.
Yeah.
No one could stop them.
Okay. Anything else good that come out of having T-Rexes?
We could study them.
We could study them.
We kill them, look inside their insides.
We could kill them and understand their anatomy better. Okay, Max. It's dark.
Yeah, that's really dark.
The
I
other
would
thing
just,
on
like-
that note, here's something we could do. You know how right now we have, so much land that is associated with grazing animals like cows. There's a lot of beef that it gets eaten every day, across the globe.
Yeah.
I don't know if this would help the land situation, but like that's a big animal. Maybe T-Rex meat tastes good. Maybe we could use them and eat them like instead of cow. What do you think? Because maybe they grow faster.
Maybe, but the thing is though, then
Like a
like
T-Rex steak.
that would be very
T-Rex tenderloin.
that would be very expensive though, probably to eat them because
Initially.
like they'd probably be so hard to take down. They're like tanks. Like walking tanks with giant jaw traps that will kill you immediately once they smell blood.
Even like we even don't know how powerful T-Rex are, so then they can maybe take a tank shot and still live.
We don't know how powerful they are.
Yeah, they like.
And then
if we put them through like one of our toughest materials, they can maybe break out. So you never know.
And then besides, even too, if they did, or like, it's basically where like a cow is very easy to kill, right? You can get them.
Cows are kind of dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, it still is. Like, because of inflation, it's gotten very expensive though to get a cow. But then imagine how much it would be to pay for a T-Rex, which would probably have to get shot like 3 or 4 times with a tank bullet.
Yeah. Plus, you'd have to feed the T-Rex to make it grow, right?
Yeah, I mean, like that would be.
Yeah.
That would be like probably like 50, maybe like this. I'm just probably exaggerating, but maybe 50 times the amount of steak. Like it's very expensive because tanks and tank bullets are probably not cheap.
They are not cheap, but the military-industrial complex would love to sell us tanks and tank bullets so we can start taking down T-Rexes, don't you think?
No, they would just make us die.
Because then what if like we just say that and then like then that wouldn't probably be safe too though, because then there'd be tanks everywhere when they're
But the company's selling the tanks, don't you think they would love to have
that might not be good. Say like a robber band can maybe just buy a bunch of tanks, and then that'd be pretty hard to stop.
All right. Let's move on to what other good things you think could come out of having T-Rex back. So we could study them. We could understand what they really were like, how they operated, how they hunted, more about their anatomy. Anything else?
I don't really think.
No, there's no other really good things I think of.
Maybe we could send them places to take care of invasive species, like if snakes were infesting some swamp area, we send in like a couple of T-Rex and they take care of it all. What do you think?
Maybe, but then we'd have to have like major control over them, which would be really hard to do.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
They might side with the snakes.
No, they would not.
They just
they're both reptiles. They might.
They might, I guess,
but
rare.
Over the next 30 to 50 years, maybe we'll have the ability to control them too. I don't know. Okay, what bad could come out of it? What do you think is like maybe one of the couple of worst things that could happen by reviving a T-Rex?
If we did it, that would basically, like in the video you just showed us, imagine being chased around by them for like a long time. You know, like a T-Rex, they're probably so strong. Like, say, like they might be, like, what if it's like where they get breeded inside something like a prison yard or something, right? And then they breeded a lot of them though, right? Because like, you know, people would probably be dumb enough to maybe make like 50 of them, for example, and not even think, oh, this is totally a smart idea, even though we're in the middle of a city or whatever. I don't know. Right? Yeah. But then they could just break loose, and then how would we know how to stop them?
Right.
It'd basically be unstoppable until we find out how to stop them. And by then, it might be very dangerous.
Yeah. How about a shock collar? You know, they get those for dogs, right?
It won't do anything to a T-Rex.
You don't think so?
It might, but like
a little damage.
Max, we should get a shock collar for you. What do you think?
Yeah.
your son. Why
There
are
are
you getting...
times where I wish I could just say, focus and just.
Kind of like that interview we went to with you.
What do you think?
No.
Let's get one for him.
Get it
Yeah,
for his dog.
birthday.
No.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, Max, while we're on the subject, we'll post this as a video too. But how did you feel about, you missed your deadline on the jingles, and you want to tell us what happened?
You guys shot me with Nerf guns.
Why?
Because I missed it.
At GST Nation, when we miss deadlines, we have a Nerf firing squad.
Yeah. And they're firing squad with these guns that have very bad accuracy but hit very hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Max got hit like 3 or 4 times in the face.
How did that feel, Max?
Not good. Not good.
It was so fun.
Max, are you going to get the jingle done now?
I already did. Remember I said.
Oh, well, I guess, okay. So
maybe
incentive works. Let's get into the new topic. The new topic is, hey, Max, especially for you as a big football fan. This is huge, okay? We had a couple of commercials come out over the weekend featuring one of your favorite players from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Travis Kelce.
Yes. So, without further ado, let me play those, and I'm curious how you feel about this. All right, boys. So here is the clip from a couple commercials that aired recently featuring Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm going to play this. Feel free to express your opinions throughout, and then I got some questions afterwards.
Isn't that the beer? Yeah, I think that's Bud Light.
That's Bud Light.
That's the trans drink.
It's so bad.
Alright, seriously. Kelce.
Travis, did you know you can get this season's COVID-19 shot when you get your flu shot?
Two things at once.
What?
Things at once.
The COVID shot?
Two things
Not
at
the
once.
COVID shot.
I'll have the
No.
two things at once, please. Now back to two
Alright,
things
seriously.
at once. Two things at once.
That's not two things at once.
Mom.
COVID's just
Travis,
What?
ask about getting this season's
Alright,
Oh,
seriously.
God.
Kelce. I was a big fan. Now you're dating Taylor Swift too.
Oh, you heard about he's dating Taylor Swift?
Yeah, he's dating Taylor Swift. Now he's on a Bud Light commercial.
And-
I mean, she's cute, don't you think?
No.
No?
She looks
Well,
terrible.
she is a little bit cute.
She looks
but
like
Cute.
she's from a
most
flaming
likely,
dumpster can.
Oh, come
almost,
Be nice.
like probably within the first week or so, they're gonna probably break up.
Yeah, it's kind of what celebrities do. But
Yeah.
they're together. They're a cute couple. Okay. Well, let's talk about these two commercials. So
Next.
Max, Travis Kelce is one of your favorite players. What do you think about now seeing him sponsor Bud Light and Pfizer?
First of all, what is wrong with your mind, Travis? Look, I was a big fan of you, like my favorite tight end, and now you're doing Bud Light, which literally it's a trans beer. And now you're getting this COVID shot, which is literally not worth anything. Like, now you're literally my least favorite tight end. Good luck trying to get fans.
And Will, we have a fantasy league. Max, you set up our fantasy league.
Yeah. Does anyone want to trade for Travis Kelce?
No.
He's on your team, right, Will?
Yeah. So no one wants to trade. Nope.
No.
Because if no one wants to trade after, like, I ask everyone else on our team, I'm probably just gonna drop him. Like,
Honestly, even though he's probably a big point earner, it's just not worth it out of principle. I'll pass on the points.
Yeah.
So what do you like? What do you think inspired him to promote the COVID vaccine, being
Money?
like one of the healthiest guys on the planet that probably needs it least of any of us?
I kind of think it's either his money or it's his so-called girlfriend.
Oh, you think Taylor's got him like influenced here to do this?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's just that, like, I think he just does this for the money.
Yeah, this is kind of disappointing from my perspective. Like Travis Kelce, generally have always liked him. And then when I see Bud Light and Pfizer commercials, feels like a major sellout to me, which I don't know. I mean, integrity is one of our values, and it just doesn't stack up for me anymore.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
He probably made a lot of money, though, on it.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the only reasons why he did this. Because he mainly wants money and he wants to get the attention.
Yeah. Well, he's a good player, but yes, he's definitely going to get attention after this weekend, considering Bud Light, Pfizer, and Taylor Swift all stacking in there. And so maybe that's part of the intent, is to get a lot of promotion. Sometimes these athletes have managers that want to get them more visibility so they can get more endorsements and contracts, money. But I don't know for sure what drove him to this decision, but it's certainly disappointing, I think, to say the least. And sounds like from your perspective, same thing.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's bury the Travis Kelce story and move on to the next. Next topic is Waymo. And we've seen these around town, right?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no driver in the seat. It's kind of wild. We see them pulling up next to us at a light, and they're just driving people around. They got all these like spinny gadgets and sensors on the car. It's pretty cool. But anyway, we're seeing them more and more around town, and I know several people that have taken taxi rides on the Waymos and generally have like good things to say. But let me pop up a quick visual of it. Okay, so here is a picture of the Waymo. Pretty futuristic looking, lots of sensors, cameras, gadgets. We've seen these around town, right, boys?
Yeah. Did you take this picture?
I did not take this picture. I got this picture off of the internet. But let's dig into this. What do you think could be super cool about having a fully autonomous vehicle taxiing people around that has no driver?
Well, I feel like that might be. It's less work for us, I guess.
Okay.
So there's that.
Yeah.
And probably older people would probably like it more because then they don't have to drive. And as time goes on, people get older and older and they get less sensible about their surroundings. So probably not good for them to drive as much. So I guess it's good for them.
So it helps people that can't drive be able to get from place to place because there might be more options with the Waymo.
Yeah.
Okay. Max, any thoughts about what could be great about this?
I have a couple of bad thoughts.
Well, hold on those. Let's talk good first.
The sensors look cool.
The sensors look cool. That's what you think is good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
How about, let me ask, safety. What do you think? Do you think, because the car is not a person that might be on their cell phone, texting or talking on the phone or doing something silly or misplacing their attention? Not that you guys would ever do that, but
no, we wouldn't.
Because it's a machine, it doesn't have attention span issues and distractions. So do you think that it might be safer on the roads?
It might be a little bit, but like I don't know if I for sure like trust a robot controlling where I go.
Yeah, because
People like. Yeah, so you want to say something?
Yeah. Well, it's just like the thing is like you think it's like an AI driving it, but actually the AI is programmed by a human. So then it's like it's still a human driving it basically.
What?
Yeah, it's like because a human literally programmed the AI to drive. So then and I like think I kind of think it just should be like humans instead of an AI because I don't trust an AI.
Okay.
Like driving me around.
You don't trust an AI?
No,
Max,
yeah.
you've seen Terminator, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those are nice AIs, right?
Are you sure about that?
Okay, those are good points. What about, okay, so we talked about safety, so maybe not. Could be safer because there's no distractions. But you're saying, well, do we trust the AI is educated enough to sort of react like a human would in these situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about cost? Do you think it'd be more expensive or less expensive to get rides on a Waymo versus having to buy a car?
I think that's going to be more, since you don't have to drive, but this AI has to drive.
Yeah.
I think it's less because like a taxi or whatever, you have to have a person drive that, but the Waymo, that one's where it just drives by itself, so you don't need anyone there. It
Right.
just does it automatically.
Yeah, the car is probably more expensive because of all the sensors and cameras.
Yeah.
Right. So that might add some expense, but it doesn't have a person driving it, which a person can be expensive because you got to pay them to drive. So I'm not sure which will be more expensive. They're probably similar from that respect. And there's safety, and I suspect that they're equivalent to maybe Waymo might be more safe because of all the sensors and limiting distractions. What do you think though about? So we talked about the cost of having drivers, but if we have more and more cars like this, it's going to put all the people that are Uber drivers and taxi drivers out of a job. So what are they going to do?
They're gonna probably have to find a new job if Waymos take over, which probably I would not like very much. I prefer to have like more humans driving than robots.
Okay.
Because they're like, what was the question?
Well, what are all those people that are currently doing taxi driving gonna do?
They would have to find a new job though, because if they can't like if they can't like drive, like do an Uber driver, they're probably gonna have to find some new job, and that'll probably take them a long time because the only job that they know of is driving. What's wrong with you?
Well, that's a good point, and it's a good point. What about? Do you ever get in a taxi and you enjoy talking to the taxi driver because they talk about the weather, the sports team, or how you doing, or where you going, what are you going to do?
It brings
a little
bit of it brings it like a little bit more fun.
You think that's fun?
Instead of just you just sitting there, just going like this.
It's more fun to be talking to someone, right? Asking questions. And like most times when we have Uber drivers, like when we're going to the airport or whatever, they're always like really nice and like we have fun talking to them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so there's like there's a social aspect to it maybe that you don't get in an autonomous vehicle, but some people don't want to talk to other people, and so there's probably some people that enjoy that.
Yeah.
Or there might be drivers that are kind of weird and you don't want to talk to them. That probably happens too, right? But for the most part, we've been lucky. We've had good drivers that are friendly and fun to talk to and get to meet new people and everything. But let me ask you this. What if Waymo put Siri in the car and you could just talk to Siri?
I would not like that.
No?
No. That's worse. Like, that's way worse.
What if Siri had an Australian accent that was super cool?
No. Talk to a real human.
Max, your Siri has an Australian accent.
Max's Apple Watch, he has Siri, so it has an Australian accent.
Do we just speak it into it?
No, that's okay.
He changed it from English to Spanish.
To Australian.
Why did you do that, Max?
It's just because
settings.
English, I hear that every day. I want to hear a new type of
accent.
Accent.
So
put Australian on.
Oh, maybe it could have like a number, like a random number generator. Just instead of numbers, it's different countries or places, and then like whatever one it lands on, that's the accent of the day.
Oh. Okay. Well,
Spanish.
There'd be a bunch that you couldn't understand.
Russian.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see.
Germans. I'm talking to a German.
Let me think. Let's stay on the Waymo conversation here. So, one other thing that I think about is if I had to take a Waymo everywhere because the government said I can't drive because too unsafe and the Waymo's safe and you got to do that. I think what I would miss is the independence. There's something nice about being able to
Drive by yourself.
Drive by yourself. And, I have my car. I can get in my car and go to the place. And I can drive slightly, on the borderline of the rules, maybe a little bit faster. Maybe I can do a U-turn in a place that I normally wouldn't. And while it might be breaking the rules, it definitely feels like America to have some independence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Instead of just having to follow
rules and more
like there's some rules that they're good for safety, but like they're not super needed, or like you could do them if like you're safe or whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting today in society where we think that just implementing more rules is going to protect and keep people safe, whereas all it does is add more layers and layers of bureaucracy and challenges to overcome. So nonetheless, I think I like my independence. However, I think the Waymo is pretty cool for taxing, and I'm sure that it's being engineered so it's safe. So I guess we'll just kind of keep following and see how this goes.
Yep.
Okay. All right, boys. Transitioning into a final topic, a slightly controversial one, but this has been big in the news this week, which is Russell Brand it's come out that there's a number of accusations against him for sexual harassment from many years ago. And this came up as reporters in the UK had been reaching out to women that Russell Brand had relations with long ago. And through those conversations, they've uncovered that he may have acted inappropriately and aggressively against women, particularly sexually. Okay. So I just want to lay out some of this context and then see what you think. But ultimately, Russell Brand was an actor, a comedian. He's been famous for a long time. He's known for being kind of a party guy back in the early 2000s, and promiscuous, meaning he dated and spent time with a lot of girls. So nonetheless, now these accusations have come out. He's more recently, he's opened a podcast where he talks about controversial topics like government policies, politics, the military-industrial complex, big pharma, big tech, controlling, censoring speech, these kinds of topics, which are pretty controversial, particularly for the government. And in some ways, like you could argue that they don't want people talking about that or challenging the fact that that these organizations exist and have a lot of influence. So interestingly, he's been now accused of all these things that happened around 2000 to 2006, I think, in that range.
Yeah,
I might be off a little bit.
Isn't it like where like one of them's like 20 something years ago?
Yeah, a lot of these are somewhere in the range of like 10 to 20 years ago.
Yeah, wasn't it where like one of them, like the first one, I think's 2001?
Perhaps. I don't have all the details of each case, but it's roughly that's correct. Yes. So what do you think? Is that fair?
No, if you're accusing someone from more than 20 years ago, that's like, why not just accuse them then? It doesn't make sense how you have to wait 20 years or like a fifth of a normal person's lifetime.
Yeah.
Just to say like blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe that person didn't have the courage or confidence to admit it at the time, or go to the police at the time, or file a claim at that time, but now they feel more like they should.
I feel like that's wrong, because like if you have like you have one opportunity to do it, right? You have one chance where you either do it or you don't.
Yeah.
And that girl and those girls, they decided not to. So then, yeah, I don't think he should be accused of anything about sexual stuff or whatever.
What do you think about how accurate are the claims, being that they're 20 years old? Do you remember much from 20 years ago?
No, I don't remember. I wasn't alive 20
that's
years
right.
ago.
Okay.
I'm 12 years old. No,
Okay.
I'm not old at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I think if we apply our GSD principles to this, we might say you should act in the moment and act now. Take action when things happen or when they are needed. Don't procrastinate. Don't put things off. And this is a great example of like, if this really happened, well, he's obviously a scumbag.
Yeah.
But these people should have come out years ago and made sure that he was convicted, tried, and paid the consequences when it happened. Coming out 20 years later,
It's wrong.
it just
Way too
doesn't
late.
smell. It doesn't quite smell right, does it?
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like if it is true, the expiring date has probably already happened about 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah. One might have a conspiracy that there's bigger players that really want him taken out of the media.
I feel like it's mainly political instead of like sexual or whatever about if he did even anything to them.
I'm sure back in the day there was things that he did that he's not proud of. In fact, he's talked about that a lot. He did a lot of drugs and different things that he isn't proud of, but he's turned his life around, and he's really trying to uncover and help build a better society. And I appreciate people that are trying to get stuff done.
Yeah.
So, any rate, well, let's see how this story unfolds too. It's a little maybe on the mature side for you guys, but I know that you saw it in the news and asked about it, so I'm glad we got to talk about it a little bit.
Yep.
Okay.